Hey, so I just wanted to touch base on a really important point. Basically, why style actually matters, why fashion is important. So, just to get it out of the way right off the hop, when I say fashion, I don't mean like red carpet, super expensive, high end brand names, everything curated perfectly, like fashion show runway ready type stuff. When I say fashion, I use the term interchangeably with style. Just fashion and style, same to me. But the underlying most important thing is that style just encompasses what you wear, your whole vibe. So everything that you put on your body, all of your main clothes, all of your accessories, just that whole image that you're putting out there, that to me is what style is. And the reason that it's actually important, even when you think that you might not care about fashion, is it's really huge. So many reasons. One of the first main ones is that I noticed, especially being a mom, I stayed home with the kids. Sometimes your days really start to look the same and they're really busy, but they're often very, very samey. And sometimes they all start to kind of mush together and you really can't tell what day of the week it is, kind of doing the same things and to varying degrees every single day. And I started to realize that there was more to life than just going through the motions, just surviving every day, just same. And it kind of occurred to me that one of the best ways that I could actually make a difference in my enjoyment of every day, of my actual participation and my noticing and all of that stuff was to kind of embrace fashion and style. Um, it's really easy to lose yourself when you're just going through the motions, when you're just kind of surviving through each day. And we're all unique and we all have gifts to bring the world and things that we want to experience. And if you're not really embracing that, it's kind of a waste in a way. Like that maybe sounds bad, but it's time just flies by. And so if you're not actually living your life and enjoying it, all of a sudden like decades have passed and you're like, what did I even do? What did I even care about? What stood out to me? And you can really quickly lose those things if you're not actually intentional with your life. So that's another thing is the just putting some intention into your style just helps bring about intention with your whole entire life so that you're actually like living it to its fullest. Um, Another thing is that it's really easy, especially in the busyness of life, to get really influenced by outside factors like social media or what other people are doing or what you see in stores or on the news or just your general circles of people, regular people in the day to day, and just to kind of absorb that as your own, even not on purpose, but you just start to emulate that just because it's always there. It's just easy. It's what you see if you're not really being intentional and doing things on purpose. You just sort of start to meld into what everyone else is doing. And that's another easy way to lose touch with many years. You don't even realize what's going on. All of a sudden, you're just the same as everybody else. And it's fine if you want that. But my whole point is make sure that that's what you really want. So be intentional and evaluate, do I actually like this thing? Do I actually feel good wearing this and doing this and that sort of thing? Kind of leads me into my other point is fashion is actually something that you can control quite easily. Um, you might think, oh, I'm stuck buying what's currently in style, like what's in the stores. But that's not necessarily true because there's thrift stores. And if you have problems with thrift stores, I can help you work through those because thrift stores are awesome. And it's a great way to find cool things that you love that nobody else has. Maybe everybody did have them like 10 years ago, but like all of the people that are just following the trends, they're not going to have them anymore. So you can certainly find things that are unique to you in other places. And of course, with the world shrinking thanks to the internet, you can always order things online too if you're really looking for specific things. Um, the fashion part, the style, the clothing, what I wear, is something that really, really started to take front and center for me because with having a family and, sort of like being the head of the household, I was in charge of the decorating and the everything for the home. But with that comes, consideration of what other people like and enjoy and tolerate and that sort of thing. So I happen to love vintage 50s, 60s, 70s. I would have my entire house in those decades if I could. However, I don't because the rest of my family doesn't quite share my passion for vintage. They don't love it quite as much as I do. So I can get away with a little bit of decorating here and there, but not like really just unleashing all of my love for all of the old things. But with clothing, you can usually do whatever you want. Now, if you have a dress code at work, that might be a little bit different, but there's usually things that you could still do even while following dress codes. So there's a little bit of leeway with that. But realistically, your kids aren't going to care if you wear purple jeans instead of blue jeans, or if you have a funky striped shirt. They might have comments, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. If you love it and you wear it, then that's usually fine. They're not going to force you to take those clothes out of your closet and wear something else. Like you can pretty much get away with whatever it is that you want. And you might have to defend your style and you might just choose to ignore them, whatever. But at the end of the day, usually you still just get to put on you whatever you want. So that's kind of another thing I like about fashion and style is that you get to own it. You get to call the shots. Doesn't matter what the outside world is doing. It doesn't matter what your friends say, what your family likes or doesn't like. It really comes down to what you want. So that in turn can really help just build up your confidence for everything. Once you really start embracing wearing what you like, get a little bit of confidence to do other things. Maybe take a class that you've always wanted to do that you were too afraid to do. And if you want to start a business and these types of things, like if you're confident, really it just builds and builds and builds. So style and fashion is one of the best ways to just start. Something else I noticed over the years that I thought was really cool. My last job outside of the home was business casual. And I took full advantage of that. Being a stay-at-home mom for a while, I didn't always choose my outfits intentionally. So when I started working outside the home again, I just lived it up. I didn't wear the same thing twice ever. And I have a lot of clothes, but it came down to mixing and matching and accessories and that type of thing. And I just loved it. And I felt like I was really able to express my personality, and it brought such a light to my days. And even I think other people appreciate when you're authentic, I think. And it opens up conversations, and it just adds to a lot of cool things. So, um, but more recently, since I haven't been working there anymore, I, kind of hit or miss the level of attention that I put into my outfits. And I kind of started again putting a little bit more just because it made me feel good. And I wasn't doing anything that day, but I did my whole outfit and I coordinated and I did a few accessories as well. And it said, "Oh, wow, Mom, you look great. What are you doing today?" Like, "Oh, nothing. I'm just hanging out at home." And it just kind of struck me for them to notice that, like, they noticed the intention that I put in to my outfit. And it wasn't for any reason other than I liked it and it made me feel good. And even days like that for yourself, um, if you pay attention, like you notice if you're wearing like head to toe sweatpants, questionably clean, no judgment either, because like we all have those days. But when you're wearing that versus wearing something that's, comfortable, but in a color that you love or a cool pattern or something like that, kind of just notice that your energy shifts. You just feel a little bit more like your best self and like you can take on anything. You do just feel better. And I don't know, that just, like I said, spills over into everything. So I think it's a really good catalyst for just basically living your best life. Um, yeah, when you are showing up as your best self, it does kind of even tend to snowball into the rest of the world. Like if you care about yourself, then you tend to care about others. And then when you care about others, you tend to kind of care about the world in general. Just kind of make everything a better place, starting with you. So, as silly as style and fashion as a life changing thing may sound, it's actually a pretty big deal. So, I do want to encourage you to delve into your style. If it's not something that you've ever really paid attention to, but some of these things are resonating, just, step back and take a look at how you feel with what you're wearing. And if some of these things are something that you might be interested in, like if you're feeling a little bit blah in your days, well, try it. Try putting on a different outfit. Try spending a few extra minutes getting ready in the morning with your clothes and just mixing and matching and putting together something that really lights you up and just see how you feel. Because I'm betting that you'll probably love it. And that's kind of what I'm all about. So, yeah, I just wanted to explain why I do believe that fashion and style is actually pretty darn important.